Today in this video, I'm going to share with you how to build great systems. So the quality of a system is always determined by its margin for error. Okay. So when we are trying to create something great, we want to be able to produce, or rather design or build a system that can operate no matter who's at the helm or the steering wheel, right? So I'm sure most of us would like to have more money. I don't think that there would be too much objection to having more financial security. And so the idea of, well, how do we make more? How do we make more money? And oftentimes you'll hear, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I actually want to take that one step further. It's not just who you know, it's how you communicate it with who you know. So everything in this life, at least that people do, is done as a result of a want. It's not done because they need to. Most people don't do things because they need to do something. Most people do things because they either want to do it or they don't want to experience the consequences of not doing something. Let me give you an example. Most people don't want to pay rent or mortgage, yet they pay their rent and their mortgage because they would much rather pay the rent or the mortgage than be homeless, right? So the want of having a secure shelter with electricity and a nice place to live trumps, I don't want to pay that. Right? And so designing a system that creates money will require us to speak in a way and communicate in a way that persuades isn't necessarily the right word, but encourages people to trade the money in their pocket for the value that you can provide. And the only way to do that is through want, right? Like I've been in sales for a long time though. Had $1 million a month or pretty close. And so over time, oftentimes you'll hear business owners talk about, oh, the market has a need for this. The market doesn't really have a need for anything. The market just has a strong desire, a strong want for something. Let me give you an example. Selling cars, right? Does somebody need a car? No, right? They can take the bus, or they can ride a bike, or they can walk, or take some form of public transit. We don't really have like an effective rail network in most places in the United States. But like, you don't need a car, right? It's something that you really, really want because it makes it really, really convenient to get from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time possible. But it's not a need, it's a want. And so when we're able to communicate with people in their wants, hey, why do they want to do this? As opposed to, oh, they need to do this. And so therefore, like, we feel as though we have some form of leverage over them. And I'll get how this relates to systems in a second. When we communicate with people in terms of wants, we start to speak the language of the heart. Because a want implies freedom, right? To want something is not a scarcity mindset. Like there's no scarcity in the mentality of wanting something, right? In needing something, there's scarcity. There's like, oh, I need it. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do this. I need to do this. As opposed to, well, I want to do that. Well, I want to do this. I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do that. When we're able to start to think about how to create a system of communicating with people in a way that not emboldens, but sparks a fire or entices or encourages somebody to fulfill their want with you, well, we can start exchanging value. You watching this channel have some form of gift and some form of talent that people would be more than, over the moon. You would transform their lives with what you know and what you've gone through. If only they knew about you. And if only you could explain it in a way that aligns with their current want. And so, creating a system of want. And what's interesting is that when you create a system of want, it's not manipulative, and it's hardly even persuasive. It's just uncovering a desire and providing a path to success or achievement or whatever outcome the person that you're speaking with desires. So how would we do that? Well, first and foremost, in our daily life, we have to start thinking in want and not in terms of need. So when we understand that there's very little that we need to do, and that most things are based upon our wants, we can start living in freedom, because then we're not externally driven, we're internally driven. All the judgment falls away, right? You follow your heart, right? How many of us have heard that? What if I told you that that's actually the secret to freedom, to happiness, to riches, to wealth? That you start going after what you want in life as opposed to what you think you need in life or what others think you need in life. And you risk everything following that want, that intrinsic desire, that internal true core fire, passion, like spirit inside of you. The Lord trieth the reins of the heart. The Lord has the reins of the heart. And when we need, our heart hardens because our heart speaks in want. Jesus says, are you not more valuable than the birds in the sky? Right? Does your Father not feed the birds of the sky? How much more will he clothe you and feed you? All of our needs are taken care of. Everything else is want. Be fruitful and multiply and have dominion. A king or a queen has no needs. They only have wants. And you are a king or a queen of the Most High God. When we can create a system, and I'll show you how, of wants, not only will you be able to share your skills, your wisdom, your knowledge and understanding in a way that will seem superhuman, you'll have a life full of purpose. People will resonate with your message and be transformed. And there will be people who, there won't be competition, right? There's a book that I'm currently reading. It's called 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And when you step into your unique calling, your unique ability is how the book words it. When you step into who you are and chase after that core desire, you will experience a purpose and a rush and an excitement and a freedom and a wealth, and not just financial wealth, but the ability to just make the world a better place, to make the world more wealthy because you're being you, because nobody wants to be you other than you, and no one can be you other than you. When we're able to take our unique abilities and share them with the world, and thankfully there's a place like YouTube where I don't know who is going to end up seeing this message. Hopefully you're the person that this resonates with and who goes, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I've been looking for. But I don't know. But when we can create the system of want, right, we can change the world. Because we can start speaking to people's hearts. So how do we create this system? So a system of wants will always start internally, right? What do you want? What did you want? What will you want? And then assume that you're not so different than anyone else. You're not so different than I am. You're not more different than somebody else or your next door neighbor. That we share some pretty common wants. Financial security, relationships, freedom of purpose, freedom of time. And so you can take inventory of what you're good at, right? And what you're good at and your passion, those talents that you have, and find that intersection and figure out how it can fulfill somebody's want, right? Because people don't need us, right? Like, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. The world needs you, but the world doesn't need you, right? There's a lot of people who have come to this planet who had a mission and a purpose that they never fulfilled. And so the world needed them, but they didn't need them. And so using your talent and your ability to fulfill somebody's want in the direction of financial security, of time freedom, of relationship, of purpose. And it can be like, I'll give you an example, like cooking. Cooking is a fantastic avenue. The Food Network. Who knew that you could cook on television, make millions of dollars? That there was a whole niche for that. That people would love to watch that. If that's your calling, like, go in your calling. Go deep in your calling too. This brings us to our next step. Figure out what makes the biggest impact. Like, what are the things that you do in your skill set or in your heart set or in your talents that really make the biggest difference, right? The Pareto principle is what they call it. 20% of what you do produces 80% of your results. I'll tell you what right now, 80% is good enough. 80% of a watermelon is good enough. So identifying those wants, identifying your inventory, and then identifying what is that, like, what is the 20%? Like, what is that actual thing that makes me tick? Like, that just makes me so good at this thing. Because I promise you, like, 80% of it is, I don't want to say worthless, but it's just not like, it's making 20% results. Like, it only does 20% of your results. And so, like, for example, for myself, like, I trade futures. And so I built a system. I created a system that relies on what is the actual 20% that produces 80% of the results on any given day. And I took that next step. Okay, what's the 20% of that produces 80% of that? Okay, well, and then the next step, and the next step, and the next step. So you can keep going And this will be, a 10x jump, a quantum leap, a massive leap in achievement and in success. Because you don't have to focus on 80% of the stuff anymore. Like, I want you to think about this. Imagine that you had to cook something. But while you're cooking, the kids are screaming, the smoke alarm's going off, the dogs are barking outside, someone's knocking at the front door. How concentrated are you going to be? Probably not very concentrated, right? And the meal will turn out okay. But let's take that same scenario and cut out the dog and cut out, the kids crying, and cut out the door knocks, right? And just focusing on the task at hand, right? Okay, this is because I whip it this way, this is why it turns out so well. And you just focus on doing the right things right and letting everything else go. Oftentimes we feel like, oh, well, it's because I did 100% it's 100% of what I do that produces my success. It's just not true. It's just not a reality. Like, if you have to tell yourself that to make yourself feel better, okay. But I promise you, if you're willing to take a step back and go, all right, like, let me figure out what actually it is. Oh my gosh, this 20% right here creates that much result. Hold on. Let's see if there's 20% of that creates even more results. And now what you're doing is you're going to be able to communicate to people's wants, but you're going to provide them a product or a service or you, and it's going to be unique. It's going to be different than everything else is on the market because you're you and no one else can be like you. Nobody has your perspective. There's only one person who's ever had your DNA and whoever will have your DNA, and that's you. And so you're not competing with anyone anymore. You don't have to look at, oh, well, Bob does it pretty similar and Stacy does it pretty similar. Like, I don't know how I could ever share what I know. I'm just not different enough. I assure you, when you find that 20% and you keep diving down that 20% rabbit hole and getting 10x, 100x results, I assure you, you're going to be different enough and unique enough that you're going to have no competition, but somebody's going to see what you're doing, watch what you're doing and go, oh my gosh, who are you? And how can I learn from you? Because you know exactly what I'm looking for. When we change our focus from the external to the internal and begin to think in terms of want instead of need, we can start speaking to the heart. Winning the hearts and minds. I'm not too concerned about the mind. I'm really concerned about the heart because this is where God operates. And so your system, again, for creating want. Number one, start thinking in want and not need on your daily basis and just experience it, what it feels like. If I tell you that you need to do something versus I want you to do something, how do those two things feel? Right? Just practice them on yourself. You need to do it. Or I want you to do it. Communicating to wants. Taking an inventory of your gifts and your skills. Figuring out the 20% that produces 80% of the results. And then just diving down deeper and deeper and deeper into the skills, like the skills of the skills, the mastery of the skills. And then being able to communicate it in terms of a want. Hey, do you want to be able to cook, the best filet mignon on planet Earth? Well, I have this special way of and it doesn't even have to be like that, right? Just share it. Just share it. Share your uniqueness. Share your gift. And don't tie any external result to it. Just like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and make the world a better place because the world needs better fried chicken. The world needs to know how to repair a car. The world needs to know how to woodwork a chair. It's probably not the way to explain that, but like, just make the world a better place because you're in it. And that's the beautiful thing, is that the world is a better place because you're here. And so I want you to go out there and find those people who want what you have and share it with them. Go transform the world. Make the world a wealthier place. And wealth isn't just financial. Wealth can be one nicer chair or one well-cooked steak. We just use money to transfer wealth. Money itself is not wealth. It's the transfer of wealth. It's how we represent the transfer of wealth, how we exchange value. But you can be wealthier today. And I want that for you. And God wants that for you. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by. I hope this video has blessed you in some way. I just pray that you're blessed. I pray that you're abundant. I pray that you live in your purpose, that you one day experience financial freedom and time freedom and relationship freedom, or the freedom to pursue your purpose and to just make this world a better place. I look forward to seeing you at the top. May you be blessed in the mighty name of Jesus. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.